Good evening. Please remain standing for prayers by Reverend Richard Young. Thank you.
Thank you. We begin by recalling the momentous events of 80 years ago today, when victory in Europe was declared. And we take a few moments of silence to remember the impact of those events on this borough. All those local people, military and civilian, who gave their lives in the cause of freedom. The events which took place locally, which contributed to that victory. And the scenes of joyous celebration in our communities, which heralded the peace 80 years ago. So we take a few moments of silence. O God of truth and justice, we hold before you all those men, women and children who died in the Second World War, whether in active service or as civilians, and especially those of this borough. We remember all those whose sacrifice brought victory in Europe 80 years ago today and secured our freedom from tyranny. As we honour their courage and cherish their memory, may we put our faith in your future for us and our communities. For you are the source of life and hope, now and forever. Amen. Amen. And at this annual meeting of the Council and this evening of mayor making, we give you thanks for the year that is past, and especially for the mayoral year of Councillor Colleen Sullivan and her consort, Mrs. Anne Robinson. We thank you for their service to the rich and diverse civic and community life of the London Borough of Hillingdon, for all the organisations and events and people they've supported, encouraged and championed, for their promotion of the Mayor's charities, and their faithful representing of our borough and ourselves at countless events across the year. And now we pray for the coming year, for those about to take office, for Councillor Corthorne, for the Mayor's consort and the Deputy Mayor, praying for a fruitful and blessed year to come. For the work of this council, its elected councillors and officials, and for a commitment in this new year to an upholding of those values for which the fight was won 80 years ago, of freedom, justice, compassion, and respect for difference. And so we commit this evening's proceedings, the work of this council, and the well-being and peace of all the people of Hillingdon into God's loving care. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Amen.
Please be seated. Item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of the Council, colleagues and honoured guests. I have 4 apologies. Councillors Ahmad Walana, Gaelic, Gohill and Mand.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. Sorry. Councillor Curling.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For transparency, I would just like to declare a non-pecuniary interest as a member of Radio Hillingdon, one of your chosen charities. Thank you.
Item 3, election of mayor 2025-26. And it's a summary from me. Good evening. I would like to share with you some of the civic ceremonies, visits to the Mayor's Parlour, and events I've had the opportunity and honour to attend. There have been many wonderful events I have attended, too many to mention, but here's a brief outline. St John's School Annual Litter Pick, International Women's Day, St. Patrick's Day Party, ALDD presentation event, Hayes Regeneration Old Vinyl Factory, Eastcote Horticultural Show, Hillingdon Hall of Fame and Long Service Awards, first pancake race ever hosted by Uxbridge Bid. I enjoyed the time I spent at Send Family Supports Easter Fun Day and to get to meet the Easter Bunny. The Royal Naval Association Race Night in aid of the Mayor's charity, Hillingdon Community Awards, where members of the public who have worked tirelessly for their communities were recognised by the Borough. The Jack Petchey Foundation Achievement Award, whose motto is, "If you think you can, echoed throughout the evening. My love of music and the arts was pandered to with various theatre visits, and where young musicians in our community showcase their remarkable talents, as well as our seasoned choral singers and VE street parties across the borough. It has been wonderful to welcome to the Mayor's Parlour the first Uxbridge Beavers, youth organisations, the Royal Naval Association, interview with the Hillingdon people, past Mayor's afternoon tea, Ruislip Chamber of Commerce, Uxbridge Bid, our registrars, and Hillingdon Strings. Finally, I was honoured to represent the borough on Anzac Day, Hillingdon West Scouts St. George's Day Parade, reopening of the Uxbridge Library, Mayor's Civic Service and 60 years of Hillingdon Borough, VE Day flag raising and wreath laying on behalf of Royal British Legion. To sum up, I've had the most incredible year serving as the Mayor of Hillingdon, and for the honour, the privilege and a feeling of great pride to be the first citizen of the borough. The mayoral role has not only challenged me, but allowed me to grow, to learn, to celebrate my strengths, offering empathy, support, and making meaningful contributions. The mayoral year has been a humbling experience, and I have made many friendships during my time as mayor from all walks of life. I have met many remarkable young people, university students, volunteers, social groups, and the ever-youthful 100-year-olds, and have learned something from each one of them. I've had a busy and exciting year full of wonderful, vibrant events, and have fulfilled my resolve during my mayoral year to work with young people through schools, colleges, youth organisations, and with volunteers, community groups, and to form new friendships, partnerships, and highlight the fascinating history of this great borough and how we can all play a part in its past and its future. In the words of William Shakespeare, I can no other answer make but thanks and thanks. With thanks in mind, to councillors on both sides of the chamber, thank you for your support during my mayoral year, and to say I have enjoyed being your mayor. To my ward colleagues, Wayne and Kelly, thank you for holding the fort, and in the words of Arnie Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. To my consort, Anne Robinson, thank you for your support and your friendship during the mayoral year. To the mayoral team, Nikki, Cheryl, Anne, Chris, and Andy, thank you for your looking after me, supporting me, and for your advice and friendship, which has meant a lot to me, and of course, for putting up with my sense of humour. Last but by no means least, a special thanks to you, Lloyd, whose gentle guidance and help whilst I navigated full council. For that, I thank you. In closing, may I leave you with a couple of quotes which sum up the mayoral year for me. A wise man once said, "Find a job you enjoy doing, and you will never have to work a day in your life." And I've learnt that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Nominations for mayor. Councillor Riley.
I look up, I see two people in robes. It's like being at work. Madam Mayor, councillors, officers, honoured guests, this is a very emotional speech for me. Not only am I proposing or nominating that Councillor Philip Corthorne be Mayor for the ensuing municipal year, but it is also to my ward colleague and my very, very good friend. I am honoured that Councillor Corthorne, over these last 17 years, has become such a good friend, mentor and campaigning buddy, as I suspect the Americans would call it. It's a very important day today. It's VE Day, Victory in Europe. It is also today the day that the Helston Floor Dance is held in Cornwall. And it is also VP Day, Victory for Philip, in his ascendancy to the municipal Everest that is the mayoralty of this great borough of ours. Madam Mayor, if you want to know or want to see the epitome of public service and see what it looks like, you need only look no further than the Adonis-like features of Councillor Corthorne. Well, those of you who know me will know that I use a classical Greek reference where I can. But in fact, Councillor Corthorne has recently been associated with a very much more modern hero. Indeed, only on Monday, he and I were out seeing a resident when another resident exclaimed, she was a little bit further away, "There is the Superman of councillors." Well, obviously, I puffed my chest out, drew myself up to my full height, ready to receive the praise and plaudits that I am so richly deserved. Thank you. When she walked past me and said to Councillor Corthorne, "It's you, the Superman councillor." So I'm very pleased. But our resident was right, ladies and gentlemen. Councillor Corthorne is a Superman amongst councillors. His pedigree goes back over 30 years, he having been first elected in April 1993, when I was but a child, in a by-election in the former St Martin's ward. I pause there. It's not a tribute to our dear Cabinet Member for Finance. We haven't started beatifying our Cabinet members just yet. It's a sort of Catholic reference, Philip. That's all right, yeah. But Philip was back then twinned with Douglas Mills as the fellow ward councillor, so that must have been a really powerful pairing. From 2002 to 2022, he represented West Ruislip Ward with such luminaries as Sylvic Stone, Brian Crowe, who's here, and Debbie Radia. And then from 2022 onwards, Ruislip until the present date. Back then, he was the final chairman of the Housing Committee before Cabinet was established, and then he was in Cabinet from its inception to in 2002 until 2021. In roles dealing with housing, social services, health, public health, and leisure and environment. First of all, he lived in Grosvenor Avenue in Charville, which is in the south of the borough. And in 1970, he moved to Ruislip Manor. So this man, ladies and gentlemen, is Hillingdon through and through. Indeed, if you cut him in half, it would say Hillingdon. I don't suggest anybody should, but it would say Hillingdon. So, Madam Mayor, who better to be your successor? And which is with a heart-busting pride that I propose Councillor Philip Corthorne to be Mayor for the year 2025-2026. Thank you very much.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Swan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is with immense pride I stand to second my friend and ward colleague, Councillor Philip Corthorne, as the Mayor of Hillingdon for the municipal year 2025-2026. Later this year marks 20 years since I first met Philip on a cold autumn night in October 2005 when I was just 16. Over 2 decades, he's been a mentor, a supporter, a ward colleague, and above all, a friend. And tonight is a true honour to second his nomination. Now, as Councillor Riley knows, there's little point trying to keep up with Philip. He's a first-class councillor, hard-working, diligent, and deeply respected by the residents of Ruislip. And I have no doubt he'll bring those same qualities to his year as Mayor, serving as the first citizen we can all admire. When I was first elected in 2022, I quickly realised I joined the team for me when I was at an event in late May at the Great Barn with the then Deputy Mayor Councillor Ahmed Maulana, when an older resident decided to introduce herself to me. She proceeded to list all the ways Philip had helped her, sorting out her curbs and her bins, assisting her with her planning permission, and always being there for a chat in the High Street. She told me how pleased she was that we were the three that had been elected and that we were the team that she wanted. And then in a moment that I will never forget, one that reminded me just how Philip can touch the lives of our residents in almost any way. And after Councillor Riley's speech, you'll understand this more. She grabbed me by the hand, looked me square in the eye and said, "I've told my grandson I think it's absolutely fabulous that we've got 3 gay councillors." Now, I've often likened my ward colleagues to the Batman and Robin of Ruislip, taking on the potholes and fly tipping and mist bin collections in our own Gotham City Ruislip Town Centre. Now, on a night like this, it would be unfair of me to say who is who, but Madam Mayor, I assure you I have based my analogy on the original writings of Bill Finger and Bob Kane, where Batman is a tall, handsome hero and Robin is his shorter, funnier sidekick. I'll leave it to members to decide who fits which role. But Philip is more than just a crusader for clean streets. He can dance, as some members opposite will remember when we went to Kerry Prince's wedding and he graced us with his moves on the dance floor. He's a devoted football fan, often spotted at Watford or Wealdstone in his signature flat cap. But above all, above all, he's a proud dad and granddad, never missing a chance to talk about the many achievements of his children, who it's wonderful to see in the public gallery tonight, along with his beautiful granddaughter. Philip has an ability that all good politicians share. He can connect with anyone. He's many things to many people, yet always remains true to himself. In the hustle and bustle of the politics of this chamber, we sometimes forget what an amazing place Hillingdon is. From making childhood memories at Ruislip Lido to our vibrant high streets, beautiful open spaces and our harmonious communities, Hillingdon's truly special. So I think it's only fitting that a citizen born in this borough 60 years ago should become its first citizen as we celebrate Hillingdon's 60th year. To finish, Madam Mayor, I wanted to mention one of Philip's biggest stands, his mum, who he lost just over a year ago. Philip, I know your Christianity teaches you of life after death, and I know that she's here with us tonight, the proudest mum in Hillingdon. And so, Madam Mayor, it's with absolute pleasure to second my friend and war colleague, Councillor Philip Corthorne's nomination as the Mayor of Hillingdon.
Are there any other speakers? No. Are there any other nominations? No? Is that agreed? Agreed. Councillor Philip Thornton has duly been appointed Mayor.
Please be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item for your office is to make and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office.
Right, I'm competing for someone for attention, aren't I? Okay, I, Philip Nigel Corthorne, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the London Borough of Hillingdon, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Okay.
Members of the Council, honoured guests, I'm delighted to announce that that concludes the appointment of Councillor Philip Nigel Corthorne to the position of Mayor of the London Borough of Hillingdon for the forthcoming municipal year 2025-2026.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. So the next item before us this evening is the appointment of Deputy Mayor. And it gives me immense pleasure to appoint Councillor Rita Chamdale as Deputy Mayor in the forthcoming municipal year. Thank you. Well done. Next agenda item. There we've got new mayor's announcements. Here we go. Well, who'd have thought it after 32 years? Firstly, my heartfelt thanks to colleagues for the distinct honour which you've bestowed upon me this evening. In taking up the office of Mayor, you may be assured that I will undertake the role and seek to uphold its traditions to the very best of my ability. I undertake it not as a swan song, God willing, but as a privilege and opportunity in equal measure. I'm very pleased to say that I'll be supported in my mayoral year by my mayoresses, principally my wife Fiona and my eldest daughter Hannah, and my thanks to them both in advance for that. This is a somewhat poignant moment for me. My late mother, didn't live to see this day, as Councillor Smallwood has said, but I have no doubt that she's among us this evening. It's also a source of great joy to my family that I and Mum's great-granddaughter and my granddaughter Jemima Rita, who was born prematurely last October at 24 weeks, believe it or not, is able to be with us today on her first outing to Hillingdon. I would like to thank my ward colleagues, Councillors Riley and Smallwood, for their very kind words, although I barely recognise myself in their descriptions, I have to say. I'm not sure we'll be donning capes to fly along Rice at Pie Street any time soon, but I do like the analogy. My thanks in advance to them for picking up more of the ward work than would usually be the case. So thank you, gentlemen. I'd also like to thank all of those who have helped me prepare for this role. Among them, Lord Randall of Uxbridge, Freeman of the Borough David Brough, and past Mayor Brian Crowe, for sharing their insight and their abundant wisdom in helping me to shape my own ideas for the year ahead. My thanks also to the award-winning team in the Mayor's office for their unfailing advice and support. To the outgoing Mayor, Councillor Colleen Sullivan, it's been an immense pleasure to serve as her deputy, and I thank her for being such a great person to work with as understudy to learn the ropes. Talking of ropes, she is also a great sport, and she delighted everyone the other day by taking part in the tug-of-war at Croft Gardens VE Day event this week. Ably supported by Anne, Colleen has served as Mayor with grace and distinction, and her wonderfully dry sense of humour is truly something to savour. This year, as has been said, the London Borough of Hillingdon turns 60, although my colleague Councillor Small has been a little unkind. I've got a few more months in my 50s, but I'm not quite. But nevertheless, it's the same big birthday. And although I've lived in Ruislip for many years, as has been said, my life has touched all corners of this borough. Starting from my earliest days living in Charville, of course I attended Dowie Martyrs, which as the only Catholic secondary school in Hillingdon has the largest catchment area, which gave me a good sense of the borough from the late 70s onwards. Talking of Catholicism, I am of course competing with the new Pope this evening, so I'm a bit of a hiding to nothing. In an uncertain world in which the local government family is under ever more pressure and society seems increasingly fragmented, like many of us, I have come to appreciate the value of civil society and the very many residents, volunteers, non-profits and business, which individually and collectively work for the well-being of our borough and its residents in so many different ways. These often unsung and unheralded public-spirited people really are the best of us. Bringing together business and voluntary organisations can be of immense mutual benefit, and I know that there is already some excellent work going on in this regard. However, I do see opportunities to build on this, which will be one of the themes for my mayoral year, along with encouragement, support and recognition of our volunteers, especially the younger ones. Although I hope my activity for this year will benefit the voluntary sector as a whole, I've chosen two excellent local grassroots charities for the year. The first is Hillingdon Stroke Support, which provides invaluable help to promote the recovery of stroke victims, including the challenges of recovering the power of speech, of which, of course, as many of you know, I had personal experience following my stroke in 2017. And of course, May is Stroke Awareness Month. The other charity will be Send Family Support, which organises events and activities to support families which face the challenges which can go with care for children with special educational needs. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some of the families which have benefited from their wonderful work over the last year. Finally, as some of you know, I've delivered one or two of the more strident speeches in this chamber over the course of the years. But this year, as I sit perched above the fray, I will call it as I see it, without fear or favour. Therefore, please, let's remember who we are and those people we are all privileged to represent. I would like to see a good standard of debate and for members to be respectful of each other. And I look forward to working with you in the year ahead from this new vantage point. Thank you. The next item is the vote of thanks to the outgoing Mayor, and I'm calling Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and my warmest congratulations to your appointment. I am absolutely delighted to move the vote of thanks to our outgoing Mayor, Councillor Sullivan. We have heard from your own accounts tonight of the vast range of duties that you've undertaken, the visits to many, many of our community groups and the institutions, and we also heard in the prayers from Reverend Richard Young the manner in which you have undertaken those duties and the impact you had on the residents of our borough. I've had the pleasure of accompanying you to a number of events, and it is true that every mayor brings their own character to the office. You have brought good grace, great charm, and you have also brought that dry humour that we have heard about, and I would add the word slightly mischievous as well within it. You certainly have made me smile. And I might add, and I hope I'm not going to disclose too much information, that after the VE Day flag raising ceremony this morning, we were just talking about the events ahead, and you shared with me the fact that you had some visits in care homes. And you said rather mischievously, they're actually recce's for in case I need something in the future. I want to identify the best room. Madam Mayor, you have done an outstanding job as our Mayor. I will miss your humour. I will miss the quotes that you bring to it. I am sure you will miss the office of marriage that you have received. It is with our greatest thanks that for your service to this borough as our Mayor and for the way you have discharged your duties so well. Particularly want to thank your escort, your consort, your Mayoress Anne Robinson, for the way she has also assisted you. And it is with our greatest thanks and with my great pleasure that I move this vote of thanks for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Curley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your election to the office of Mayor and, of course, the borough's first citizen. I traditionally get the opportunity to second the vote of thanks to the outgoing Mayor, and it is with great pleasure that I do this tonight. Each Mayor brings their own unique qualities and character to the role, and Councillor Sullivan has certainly done that. She encapsulates everything that being a Mayor should be. Visits across the borough, covering all 42 square miles, raising the profile of our borough, representing our borough and its residents at ceremonial occasions, and raising money for local charities. It's been a pleasure to share some of those moments, like the commemoration of the EMI staff that were killed during the war at their memorial in Cherry Lane Cemetery, and various flag-raising ceremonies, including the one this morning for the 80th anniversary of VE Day. As well as all the visits and events and ceremonial duties, the Mayor also has to chair full council, which is probably one of the hardest things to do, with politically charged debates and numerous calls of points of order and other constitutional issues to deal with. As Leader of the Opposition, I would like to thank you for keeping your cool and for your fairness in this task. I would also like to give my personal thanks for your chosen charities as a long-term volunteer of Radio Hillingdon. I really appreciate the recognition of the therapeutic value of hospital radio and the funds raised through the Mayor's charity to allow it to continue its work. Residents, usually those attending events where the Mayor will be, often ask me, what is the Mayor like? And for Councillor Sullivan, I've had the pleasure in saying she's a lovely woman with a wicked sense of humour. So thank you, Councillor Sullivan. You've been a truly wonderful Mayor and first citizen of this borough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment this evening. It's an absolute pleasure to stand here. Those of you in the chamber know I only stand when I have a good news story, and tonight I have a good news story. Colleen, you've been absolutely brilliant as Mayor. We share many interests, you and I: sport, music and the arts. However, unlike me, Colleen, you've carried out your civic duties in a quiet, graceful, elegant way. Something I will try to follow in the forthcoming year. Thank you very much for coming into my ward to honour Remembrance Day and Anzac Day. The village admired your grace and I'm going to say your elegance. I was particularly thankful to support your chosen charity of the Royal Brompton and Harefield Arts, a cause my ward has benefited from with Singing for Breathing, and I personally benefited from the arts that do a lot to make patients feel relaxed and calm. And as members of the chamber know, that hospital saved my life 2 years ago. We also share a love of literature, you and I, Councillor Sullivan, and I've really enjoyed your quotes on a regular basis, and tonight you stole my quote of Maya Angelou. You were going to hear that from me. Fortunately, I have another one, and I'm going to end on this. You've been absolutely brilliant. You've been an example to us all. Your dry wit has been hilarious. I won't mention the pole dancing one. Oh dear, I've just mentioned it. So I'm going to end with this, my thanks on behalf of your mayoralship. A year's end is not just a closing chapter. It's a mirror reflecting your growth and resilience, a reflection of the strength you've found within. Very best of luck to you when you come back on the good side.
Thank you. Councillor Chamdell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations and well deserved to your appointment. Councillor Sullivan, what can we say? What a year. As it's been said before, your grace and tireless commitment to our community has not gone unnoticed. You smiled through wind, rain, long council meetings, ribbon cutting, and more than 100,000 cups of tea, I believe. But you've done it always with passion, and you've always done it with your wonderful good humour. From champion local events to being a huge presence at civic proceedings, you have served with dignity, compassion, and a deep sense of duty. You have brought warmth and strength to every cause, be it a big event or even a quiet moment. You've always done it with a smile and always with a listening ear. And you have made a real difference, not in what you've done, but how you've made people feel. And that is something that we will all carry with us for a long time. You've represented us with pride and really embodied the true spirit of public service. Indeed, Brand Hillingdon have gone up a few more notches amongst our neighbours and throughout London. On a personal note, I have enjoyed the numerous times I did put dance, but attempt to dance on the pavement in the Civic Centre. And so as your term concludes, your warmth and impact that you've had on all of us will remain. I just want to personally say thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lakmana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to extend my congratulations to you on your appointment as Mayor. And I would also like to extend my congratulations to Councillor Rita Chamdal. Congratulations, and look forward to working with both of you in our respective wards. For the outgoing Mayor, Councillor Sullivan, I would like to commend you for your hard work during your mayoral year. I have personally enjoyed working with you on the licensing committee and also during your mayoral visits to our ward events. On behalf of my colleagues here, I thank you for your presence and indeed participation in the events in Pinkwell, West Drayton, Woodend, Uxbridge, Haystown, just to mention a few. My personal thanks for accepting and attending the events in Pinkwell, namely the Pensioners' Lunch at the Crane Community Centre and the Millen Ladies Group at the Hayes and Arlington Community Centre. The residents appreciated you for the people person that you are. Thank you for your active participation. Thank you once again for your tremendous effort. I look forward to working with you on the committee as a colleague and indeed a friend. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you very much. Now to Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment. I'd like to, Madam Mayor, congratulate you on your successful mayoral year. Coincidentally, your mayoral year coincided with my first year as a council member and your ward colleague. It's my pleasure to use this occasion to make my first speech in this chamber to thank you for the last year. During the year, you've extended the hand of friendship to me and invited me to many events where I've had the pleasure of seeing you at work and meeting lots of people from around the borough and lots of our residents. Each time I've seen you, you've expressed how much you've enjoyed seeing these people and conducting these events. The most memorable for me, aside from meeting the firefighters and admiring them with you at the summer event last July, was seeing you at the Battle of Britain Bunker, where you hosted an afternoon tea fundraiser for your chosen charities, and we were taken back to the 1940s for just a few hours. You also invited me to witness a citizen-making ceremony where you conducted and introduce the borough's newest British citizens and welcome them to the chamber. Just this week, I joined you at a Mother's Day event at St Mary's Ukrainian School for Children. Some of you are currently displaced, and your attendance there truly made the day to remember for the children and their mums. Seriously though, I seem to have found myself in the Mayor's Parlour at your invitation on so many occasions in the last year that I do worry that there may be gossip circulating in the corridors of this chamber. But I have seen the joy it brings to people when they come into the chamber and you host and go through all the historical parts and artefacts of the borough and what it brings to those people. The year has flown by, and I look forward to now enjoying your humour back on the ward in Hillingdon East. And I know the residents have missed you at our surgeries and at our meetings, and myself and Wayne will welcome you gladly back to Hillingdon East, and we will look forward to seeing you as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? I'm looking. No? Okay. So is that agreed? Thank you very much. Now we pause for a moment as it falls to me to present past mayors and past mayoresses' badges for 24-25, as well as flowers, I understand. So bear with us a moment, please. Thank you. Right, we move on to the next item, agenda item 8, report of democratic services, and I call Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I invite Council to note under the report 8.1 the appointment of Cabinet, which is as listed, and for clarity there are no changes this year for 2025-2026. I also recommend the appointment of Andy Goodwin to the statutory role of Section 151 Officer and Chief Financial Officer of the Council on an interim basis until such time as a formal appointment is made to the position of the Corporate Director of Finance. This recommendation arises following the departure of our previous interim Section 151 Officer, and steps are already in hand to appoint a permanent 151 Officer. I move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Is that seconded?
Mr. Mayor, I second and reserve my right to speak at the end.
Thank you. Councillor Mathers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and a hearty congratulations on your mayoralty. This item has come to us as full council because we have to have a Section 151, and I welcome Andy Goodwin to the role. He is a very capable and qualified officer. Mr. Mayor, I must speak today, however, regarding the interim nature of this appointment and previous appointments. Last September, as our previous head of finance started, I called for stability in our senior management. I warned for the need of timeframes for interim roles and to recruit permanent roles. I warned that this Conservative administration's decisions were negatively impacting residents and putting council services at risks. And after the budget, with the huge £37 million cuts pending and charging for bins, warnings have been proved right. My Labour Group colleagues and I have been proven right again after the Section 151 officer previous, his Section 25 statement stated that the budget wasn't sufficiently robust. Less than 3 months later after this budget, that council officer has gone. The departure does not inspire any of us, being confident in the Conservative administration's handling of its finances. Their political decisions continue to put the council's viability at risk. There are so many red flags, Mr. Mayor, with the finances, that we can no longer see the green flags in Hillingdon. So, Mr. Mayor, we as a Labour Group are asking, will the Leader of the Council commit to going above and beyond to recruit permanently to key positions rather than relying on interims? Mr. Mayor, will the Leader of the Council review the administration's lack of succession planning for recruitment? Will the Leader of the Council commit to supporting and resourcing senior officers to carry out their roles in these difficult times? Mr. Mayor, stability in our senior officers is essential, just as we need decisive leadership from the ruling cabinet. With the mess of our council's finances and the mess of recruitment, it's clear this Conservative administration has failed to provide the stability and leadership needed in difficult times. And I hope, Mr. Mayor, this is the last time this council will be asked to appoint to an interim role for such key positions.
Thank you. Councillor Goddard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and may I also join all of those who congratulate you on your appointment as Mayor. And I think it's worthwhile recognising as well that it is quite some achievement that all of us thus far have achieved the feat of not addressing you as Madam Mayor. Mr. Mayor, it has been made very clear that Richard Ennis, the previous Section 151 officer, was an interim appointment, okay? And I completely refute the suggestion that the interim nature of his appointment in some way has contributed to the financial position which the authority is in. The leader has made it absolutely clear that the next step will be to appoint a permanent position. I also put it to you, Mr. Mayor, that an opportunity has been made to score rather cheap political points from a central issue, the central issue in this Democratic Services report, which is the appointment of a Section 151 officer. Thank you.
Are there, before I come back to the seconder of the motion, any other speakers, first of all? Apparently not. So I will go back to Councillor Bianco as the seconder of the motion. You reserve your right.
I have nothing to add.
And then Councillor Edwards, have you anything further to add?
Yes, I will just add, I will wish to reinforce the fact that we are looking to secure the continuity that has been raised to appoint to a permanent basis. But unlike what our Labour colleagues seem to be prepared to do, which is to take the first cab off the rank, we are making sure that we recruit widely, we ensure that we bring in the best talent to do that, and our interim Section 151 officer, Andy Goodwin, should that be approved tonight, will of course be entitled to apply for that role. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that carried? Thank you very much. Agenda item 9.
Beg your pardon? Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt. Committee allocation membership. In case members aren't aware, they're attached to the back of your green order of business. You may not have got that far yet. But...
Thank you, Lloyd. Okay, Councillor Mills, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I join others in adding my congratulations to you on your election this evening. I move the item as per agenda item 9 in terms of the appointment of committees, subcommittees and their membership as set out in the sheet provided. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Edwards second, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I second and reserve my rights. Thank you.
Any other speakers? So agenda item 10, we have the Select Committee's annual report, and I'm calling first Councillor Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and may I begin by adding my congratulations to you on becoming the first citizen of our borough this evening. I'm pleased to present the 2024-25 annual report of the Hillingdon Select Committees, a core part of our democratic system where councillors from all sides come together to scrutinise services, shape policy, and above all, put our residents first. This year, our select committees have taken on a wide range of issues and conducted thorough evidence-based reviews. The Corporate Resources and Infrastructure Select Committee launched an important review into how we can better use and commercialise council-owned spaces to support the community and generate income. The committee also scrutinised digital transformation, fleet operations, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and the Haze Regeneration Programme, and now leads on monthly budget scrutiny, ensuring financial accountability across departments. The Children, Families and Education Select Committee has focused on persistent non-attendance in schools, engaging with young people, parents and educators. It also oversaw scrutiny of SEND services, youth provision, school planning and the work of the Corporate Parenting Panel, all aimed at improving outcomes for children and families. The Health and Social Care Select Committee continues its vital role in overseeing local NHS services and adult social care. This year it has scrutinised access to GP services, hospital discharges, health inequalities and the state of the local care market, holding external partners to account on behalf of our residents. The committee has also worked jointly with neighbouring councils on key issues, including proposals for the Mount Vernon Cancer Centre. Mr. Mayor, as Chair of the Resident Service Select Committee, I'm particularly proud of the work my own committee has done this year. We completed a comprehensive review into homeless prevention and the housing customer journey, including site visits to the housing reception and temporary accommodation sites. We've also scrutinised issues such as antisocial behaviour, graffiti, parking, waste, sports provision and housing complaints. And we also fulfilled our statutory responsibility to hold the police and the Safer Hillingdon Partnership to account through crime scrutiny sessions. All committees now review financial performance monthly, strengthening transparency and improving scrutiny of how public money is spent. This year has seen an excellent engagement from residents, partners, frontline officers and service users. Whether in meetings, through consultations or on site, their voices have added real value and depth to our work. In closing, I'd also like to place on record our thanks to the Officers and Democratic Services for the sterling work they have done for our committees throughout the year. And in particular, I'd also like to thank our Democratic Services apprentice, Naveed Ali, who I believe is here this evening, for the work he's done on the reports before you all here this evening. So thank you for that. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of all members of the select committees and all those who have engaged with our work, I commend this report to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Bridges. Councillor Dennis, I believe.
Can I add to the congratulations, Mr. Mayor, on your appointment? I know you're going to be a fabulous first resident of the borough. Also, can I say, I know how much you value scrutiny committees. We shared a number of years on the Health and Social Care Select Committee, and I know you're going to have some interesting conversations, and on the back of the mayoral car, you're going to be messaging me, saying, I've heard this person say this, I've heard this person said this, and actually, I've got the satellite out, and I'm watching the video of your Select Committee right now, and this person should be questioned in this way. I know you're still going to maintain strong interest in the scrutiny work that we do. The one thing I wanted to highlight quickly is the work scrutiny committees do with external bodies. A lot of the work we do is obviously with what the council does, and the council does so many things. But also, we bring external bodies in, and we talk about working together and how we can get the best for Hillingdon. Some of those external bodies have been Brunel University, Hillingdon Hospital, the local police force, and many local charities and people who do stuff in our area. As you said, Mr. Mayor, those non-profit organisations, voluntary organisations and businesses with a community outlook are part of what makes this borough a great place to live, and we all work together to achieve what we can for this borough. Working together is so important, and what scrutiny committees can do is bring people together so they realise they can work together, and sometimes when those relationships aren't working as brilliantly as they should, we can help unblock those relationships. So I just wanted to add that in terms of people understanding the type of work that we do. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Any other speakers? No. Is that carried? Thank you very much indeed. We come on to agenda item 11, a statement by the Leader of the Council, Councillor Edwards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. In my address to Council at last year's annual general meeting, I said that it was a time of change. and challenge for public service. I didn't expect to be saying this year that it is likely to become even more challenging, but that is the reality. I also said last year that the mood across the country and in London was not with the Conservative Party. Last week's elections clearly show that it is not with Labour. The retreat from the economic globalisation, the weakening of long-standing alliances and the turbulence in international relations will impact the national economy and the spending priorities for government. This will inevitably feed into the funding to be made available for local authorities, most likely adding to pressures on the sector. The government is presently overspending at an unsustainable rate, with borrowing in March being higher than expected at 151.9 billion, up 20.7 billion from the previous year and £15 billion higher than forecast. Why do I mention this? Because it provides the backdrop to the government spending review and the local government finance review being conducted this year. Both are important in that the former will determine the amount of money to be allocated for local government spending, and the latter will determine how that money is to be distributed to individual authorities. I spoke in this chamber on the sustainability of funding for local authorities at this year's budget setting meeting. This is a systemic issue, not one limited to Hillingdon, as our Labour colleagues continue to suggest. Only days ago, London councils warned that boroughs overspent by at least £345 million last year on homelessness alone, and this is threatening the financial stability of an increasing number of councils. This year's local government funding settlement did provide a real increase in funding, but that increase was insufficient to meet inflation and demand pressures, as well as the cost of government policy changes. London councils forecast the funding shortfall for this year to be £500 million across London, an average of more than £16 million per borough. The problem is not only the insufficient amount of money that is allocated to local government sector, it is also the way that that funding is distributed to individual authorities. Hillingdon is in the bottom quartile of government settlement funding per head of population. The distribution of the settlement funding under the present formula is very significantly biased towards inner London authorities, with the 10 highest levels of funding all being to inner London boroughs and the lowest 14 all being outer London boroughs. That bias must be addressed by the new formula. Consultation on the detail of that new formula is expected to commence next month, and the information emerging is a cause for concern. London's leaders yesterday were briefed that the probability is that the new formula for the relative demand for funding will not draw on the latest data sets available. The present formula uses data that is way more than a decade old, and it is possible that or even probable that the new formula will draw on the data incorporated in the abandoned 2018 formula review. This matters as Hillingdon has experienced a population growth 4 times the average growth of London boroughs since 2018. And by ignoring that growth, a degree of underfunding will be built in regardless of any other changes within that new formula. London Councils is making representation that, amongst other things, the new formula takes insufficient account of expenditure on prevention activities, particularly in regard to children and young people. This also matters, as in Hillingdon we have a strong track record of investing in preventative work, and funding to permit this to continue is absolutely necessary. Whilst all London boroughs face the threat of the local government finance review, Hillingdon has the additional threat arising from having Heathrow and from the exceptionally high number of asylum seekers housed by the Home Office in our local hotels. The government accepts that it is making insufficient progress in reducing immigration, with the outcome being that the situation is getting worse and expressly so for Hillingdon. For many years, we have had to absorb an annual underfunded pressure in excess of £1 million to support unaccompanied asylum-seeking children arriving at Heathrow. To this pressure is added the cost of supporting UK passport holders who newly return or arrive at Heathrow and require assistance, such as care or housing. Most recently, many Chagosians have been relocating to the United Kingdom following the government's decision to transfer ownership to Mauritius. This presented us with an unforeseen and unfunded cost of about £14 million last year, and the same is expected this year. On top of this, Hillingdon is accommodating nearly 1 in 10 of all migrants housed in hotels across the country. Hillingdon does have the availability of good value hotel spaces to accommodate these asylum seekers, and I make no particular issue of that fact alone. However, I do take great issue with the increasing number of asylum seekers being evicted by the Home Office from our hotels in the expectation that this council will provide any necessary ongoing support, including housing. This is not acceptable. Because of the exceptionally high numbers being evicted each month, which is expected to continue for as far as one can presently see, those evicted should be dispersed through a national dispersal programme. It is unreasonable for the Home Office to expect this council to have the staffing and resources to deal with this exceptional demand pressure, and for it to expect our formal and informal support structures to be able to cope without detriment to the existing users of those services. And the most unreasonable and unfair of all is the Home Office expectation that the costs incurred should be met by our residents alone. Yeah. Last year, that cost amounted to £5 million, for which we have submitted a claim to government to recover that money. We are forecasting a similar unfunded expenditure again this year. Yesterday, the media reported that the national cost of housing migrants has tripled to £4.6 million per day, and that the 3 companies contracted by the Home Office to provide accommodation have together made profits averaging £80 million per year since the crisis began in 2019. In essence, the Home Office has ensured that private companies get richer from asylum seekings, whilst this council and its residents get poorer. Without exceptional government funding to compensate us for this expenditure, the cost to the council of support for last year and this year will amount to 50% of our reserves. The present government consultation on the resetting of the business rates retention system, which closes early next month, gives us an opportunity to correct the long-standing underfunding of demand pressures arising from having Heathrow Airport in our borough. Hillingdon collects the 6th highest amount of business rates of all local authorities in England, higher than Manchester or Leeds. Our residents suffer the direct and indirect harms from having the airport, and they should enjoy a larger slice of the benefits. We must make this case strongly to government, and I very much hope that all 3 of our MPs will be joining with us in making this case on behalf of our residents. Yeah. Should we be thwarted in this endeavour, and should the local government finance review result in real-term reduction in funding to the council, then the council in its present form will become financially unsustainable. We have been aware of these threats for quite a period. We are mitigating their impact to the greatest extent possible through our modernisation and change programmes. As I said last year, our intention is to become a smaller council that makes best use of technology to significantly reduce the cost of administration and processing, and that also makes best use of private and third sector to deliver services. Amongst the changes we have achieved in the last municipal year have been the relocation of the Uxbridge Library to the Civic Centre, the disposal of our early years centres to the private sector, the ending of the ongoing subsidy grant to the operator of the Beck Theatre, the outsourcing of our golf operations, the disposal of surplus assets and buildings. With the exception of the golf courses, each has been opposed by our Labour colleagues with no alternatives to achieve equivalent savings being suggested. Amongst our other achievements have been our adult social care service being rated one of the best nationally, and our adult learning service being praised by the inspectors. We have replaced roofs of 5 schools. We're providing new facilities for children with SEND and autism. We're providing a newly refitted building for the South Ruislip Children's Centre. We've resurfaced 53 roads, replaced 20 pavements, revamped Mulberry Parade in West Drayton, and improved the underpass and car park in Hayes. We are building and acquiring new homes for social housing and commenced the build of 95 new affordable homes and a new library in Useley. And we are implementing a public spaces protection order around Heathrow to control waiting by private hire vehicles. We have an ambitious programme for this year, including the opening of the new leisure centre in West Drayton and the Cranford Park Heritage Buildings and Cafe. We will be resurfacing at least 15 roads and 39 pavements. We will be completing the building of Meadow Special School and opening a new home for our archives and local heritage displays alongside our new library. We'll be providing a new registrar's office, greatly enhanced space for civic weddings. And we will be commencing mobile enforcement using PR to prevent unlawful parking and waiting. Mr. Mayor, this council continues to put its residents first whilst becoming more efficient. It continues to stand up for them by opposing the harms caused by the expansion and intensification of Heathrow Airport. It is working with London Council and others to ensure a fairer local government funding formula, and it is leaving no stone unturned to secure fair funding to manage the harms and demand pressures from having Heathrow Airport in our borough. I would like to conclude by thanking our staff for their dedication and hard work. It is only through our officers that we are successful in providing the services that our residents require. I want to give my particular thanks to our Chief Executive and his corporate management team, who have the responsibility of leading our change programme whilst maintaining the standards of service that remain the envy of others. My thanks also go, as last year, to all the members for the work that they do in their wards to help the lives of our residents be easier and better. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just turn to Lloyd for a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you conclude the meeting, I just say to all our guests, in a moment the Mayor will bang the gavel and call the meeting to a close and leave the chamber, at which point we'd be grateful if you would all make your way through the doors at the back where members of the team will show you down to the Mayor's reception downstairs. Unfortunately, to their unbridled joy, I have to hang on to the members for a few moments more for some more business. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.